you should be able to have a savings plan or a savings fund available, so that you are able to save it for whatever intended purpose it is. Probably you would want to save it just because you want to travel to Siavonga or Livingston for just some leisure, some retreat, just to relieve your mind because of what's going on in this chaotic world. Yes, you would want to be able to have some investments in place, like talk of treasury bills, of course, and then there are also these smart saving plans available with different financial institutions where you'll be able to at least accrue some interest on top of what has been invested. And apart from that, you should be able to also not forget the importance of generosity, of course, because you being financially literate also entails that you should be able to be generous with the money you also have. So in case you have a problem, I should be able to reach out and help as well, so that you're letting the money work for you, so you know where exactly the money is going to. So at the end of the day or the month, you will know exactly how much you've spent, why you spent it, and you will not even have any regrets about why you spent so much, because you planned for it. I think where we usually miss the point is we don't plan for most of the monies that we use, and we because of also not being able to understand financial literacy in a practical term. I don't want financial literacy to sound too theoretical to the viewers.
Exactly.
Yes, it has to be very practical, where someone who is a marketeer in the street, or a vendor in the street, or someone who is in a high-class boutique, or just even the formal sector, talking about these corporations, will know how exactly to make money work for them.
Thank you very much. That is actually really insightful information. So remember, this is your TV on the Go Munati television. You're catching us live on Facebook, but we also have a YouTube channel. Please remember to subscribe so that you don't miss out on any of this exciting information. So we are really privileged to have Mr. Gabriel Asare with us. He's a very intelligent man, so he's really trying to break it down for us so that even me as a layperson, I can get to understand how I can ensure that I work with my finances to get the end result that is going to work best for me, my family, and the community at large. Like he mentioned earlier, it's not just about you, but when you're financially stable, you note that you also be able to help the people around you, and in return the entire community will be helped. So Mr. Gabriel Asare, when we talk about financial literacy, is there an age limit? Because sometimes people will say, I'm too young to invest, or I'm too old. Hey, I've passed my 50s. So at this point, I can't start investing. Let me just go maybe to Siavonga and I think those people that go to Siavonga, those that actually plan, like you mentioned.
Yes, some of them it's out of emotions. You get so excited because of the season that you're actually getting into, probably Independence Day, because I think after these coming elections, some of us would want to go on a holiday and just relax our minds and everything.
Great. So there you have it. So do we have an age limit? And I think for most of us, this is the limiting factor, because we say we're too young, or we can't invest, or we're too old to do. There's no age limit to achieving a goal in someone's life, and it's not too late to reach your dream or live your dream. Exactly. So please point us and just advise us and guide us on how we can go about that, because it's not about tomorrow, it's about the children that are growing up now, and us impacting this knowledge in them, so that even as they get older, they're able to live with those principles so that they can help themselves as they go on. Okay,
so talking of the age limits, there is no age limits for someone who is financially literate. So someone can be 5 years old and still understand the basic concepts of financial literacy. This child can be able to know how to save, can know how to invest. I think for the kids like that, most of our parents would teach, like in my case, I'm from a family where financial literacy was actually the backbone of part of our education. My father and my mother would always encourage us to save and invest.
Oh wow!
Yes, that's
so
why.
we see where this is coming from.
Exactly. So there isn't an age limit, and it is very surprising for you to know that, and also the viewers as well. Financial literacy in Zambia is at 40%. So
Wow.
you can tell that there's a lot of work that needs
That has
to be done.
done.
I think this is more reason why you find a lot of these investments on the show, and people invest and then they end up losing their money, and it's quite unfortunate. But I hope that through this show we'll be able to boost up the numbers and everything. And I also look forward to a time where our education system as well will also have financial literacy part of the curriculum, so that children, the youths, are also given the chance to write examinations, so that they're able to pass these financial literacy competence exams, so that at the end of the day, when somebody is out there in the streets of Lusaka, person will know exactly what financial literacy is all about.
Thank you so much for that. I'm really happy that you brought out the issue of where you started to save. I think at a younger or a tender age,
Yes.
because nowadays most of the times, even us as adults, we have in Zambia we have what we call the shipwe mentality.
Yes.
So when you run into a bit of some money, thinking I needed some Hungry Lion, I need some KFC, I need some, so everything that we haven't done, and we just end up spending our money on things that maybe we didn't really necessarily need,
Exactly.
and like us being able to plan. So for children, I think it's very important that parents are also able to, we have what we call the piggy banks,
Yes.
those ones, and you don't really necessarily have to buy those piggy banks. I think people are able to make nowadays, you can get a tin of maybe milk, okay,
Yes.
that is, and just make a little hole in there and put your coins. Every time mommy and daddy give you some money, you put your coins in there, you put your which one is the smallest note?
I think a 15 way.
So you put your 15 ways in there, you put your your 1 kwacha, your 5 kwacha, your 10 kwacha, whatever it is, whatever little change. Even for adults, imagine you save your 10 kwachas change every day. At the end
Exactly.
of the year, you could actually have enough money to go on vacation.
Yes.
Sometimes we would say, I haven't gone to Zambia, or I've never been to Siavonga. A trip that you would have planned for if you indeed had a budget, like you had mentioned earlier.
Exactly.
Plan, learn to save. As we learn to save from a tender age, I think we end up growing with all of that.
Yes.
So you mentioned that the facts or the statistics, in Zambia, it's about 40%.
It's about
Just highlight
40%.
on that, because that's alarming. That's
is.
quite low.
It's very, very quite low. And it's quite unfortunate that we also don't have much information even on the internet, because this is a generation of millennials. We have so many young people. This is actually an age, if you compare it to all generations that have passed. This is a generation where would have even a 17-year-old youth able to have access to money because of the availability of different business opportunities that are on the ground. Yes. So talking about what we earlier on mentioned, this demographic is very important, 18 to 35. This demographic is actually the largest in Zambia. Now, if you do some further research, not more than 50% can actually pass the competence exams. And
Which is really
yes.
unfortunate, rather unfortunate.
Yes, and then another thing is that the lack of interest of such matters, talking of financial literacy in actual sense. If you go to a 12-year-old now and talk about financial literacy, they would rather play their TV games, and it's very depressing. But I do hope that this changes with time, especially if this happens from home, where parents are able to encourage their kids to be financially literate, and they should know why exactly they are saving, if they have their piggy banks, if it's to pay part payment of their school fees, or maybe just want to make a surprise present for their parents for their birthdays. I mean, there's no restriction. But the most important thing here is being able to understand the principles of financial literacy.
Exactly, and that's what I actually wanted us to look at. So we have talked about this very important aspects when it comes to financial literacy, but what are some of the principles or the grounding principles that come with this? And is there a word that we can swap other than using financial literacy? Because sometimes I think that actually throws off people when they hear that, and they'll be like, what is Mr. Asare talking about when he says financial literacy? It's a big word and it's too big, I can't comprehend, and all of that. So you know how I think, like you mentioned earlier, we have so much lack of interest, especially with the youth. Most of us youths nowadays, we don't really have the interest to know how to, or to learn how to manage our finances, and that is really quite it's unfortunate, because when we can't manage our finances, we end up being 10, 35, 40, and you look back at your life and you say, wow, I could have done A, B, C, D.
Yes.
If I had done A, B, C, D differently, I would have been at a whole different level. So I guess this is why we are trying to bring this information to our viewers, and just to assist people to understand that if you know how to manage your finances, it doesn't matter how much money you have or how much money you make or how much money you come across.
Yes.
You can actually make a difference in your life. So what are some of the grounding principles?
Okay.
And can we have a word that we can use other than financial literacy? It's just a word that we cannot replace at all.
Unfortunately, it's a school of thought. Just like we have medicine, there's no doctors are actually identified from medicine. So if you take financial literacy away from the picture, then it doesn't really serve the whole purpose. The other word would be financial education.
I think that would be
education.
Yes, I think that would be
more
a bit
easier for the ears, and for the mind.
Yes.
So talking about the principles, first of all, let me just have some.
Of course.
Let me just mention some pointers.
Yes. Please.
So one of them is, do you know how to make a monthly budget? Yes. Apart from knowing how to make your monthly budget, I mean, this should also include basic expenses. You're talking about your bills. Do you have any debts? And also sinking funds for future purchases, because sometimes you may have made your budget and then from nowhere, because of unforeseen circumstances, you end up spending some more money outside your budget. So you should be able to know how to work around that.
So before we move to the next point, how can somebody be able to manage the budget? It's difficult to make a budget and just stay within the budget. So how can someone be focused and say, hey, look, regardless of what happens, this is my budget, this is what I have to work with? How can somebody get a hold or a grip of that kind of...
Okay, so to answer that question, there's a West African adage that says, cut your coat according to your size.
Wow.
If I am a size medium, why should I wear a size large?
Wow.
I mean, that would be too big for me, and it won't look so appealing to the eye. If I am a size medium, why should I wear a small or extra small? So you cut the coat to your size. And I think one reason why many of us do have problems with finances is because of not being content with what we have.
Okay.
When we learn how to be content with what we have and add value to what we have, then slowly build up from there. Because Rome wasn't built in a day. You talk about all these famous tycoons that we have around in the world. Let's just come back to Africa. Talk of Dangote. They still came back to the same principles that we're discussing today of financial literacy. It's from these very small principles such as these that you're able to build the billions of kwacha of wealth that you want. So if you don't understand these principles, you'll be able to have those billions of kwacha and yet still not live a fulfilled life.
Exactly.
So once you really understand financial literacy in its actual sense, and you're able to apply it in a practical way, you live a more fulfilling life without any stress.
Wonderful information. Remember, you're watching Mnati TV, your TV on the go. We are bringing to you live Mr. Asa Gabriel. He's a financial and investment advisor. I would say one of the best in the country. So we are definitely getting all of this information from his head, putting it in our head so we can apply it in our daily lives, just to ensure that, you know, we work and do better for ourselves. Is there a minimum amount when it comes to budgeting? Should someone say, I can't make a budget because I have a small amount of money?
Okay, so I'll give you this example. Let's say you go to town. So we have these traders. So you have these traders actually who selling different merchandise, shoes, clothes, and everything like that. And then you have a 50 kwacha, and then the trader says that actually this shirt is 85 kwacha. So then you know that, okay, this is actually way outside my budget. So if I'll end up being forced to overspend because I didn't plan for actually spending more than that. So there isn't an amount to it. I mean, you just need to know how to cut your coat to your size. It still comes back to the same West African adage. Yes.
Great, thank you so much. And I think this is where we usually we drag behind, because sometimes we feel, oh, my money is too little, so I can't really make a budget. And so you find that people end up going beyond their budget, and then you blow everything without even saving the little that you have. And I think that's another point that I also like for you to just encourage people on how they can save, because sometimes we feel, oh, my money is too little, I can't save. Some people will say, I don't have a salary. Like you mentioned, somebody could be in the market, maybe they make their money every day, and so they don't really wait for the 30th of the month to get that money. So how do they budget? Because money is coming in every day. What can they do better
Okay,
to ensure
so
that they,
if you remember, like the principles, I just mentioned one. Maybe when we run through this
to the next one. Okay, so I'm
we'll be
really
able
jumping
to
the gun.
understand.
I really
Yes.
want to learn. I hope our viewers, you're also excited and learning as we go on, because you see, this is very important for you, for me, for the entire community, and for the entire Zambia at large. So we can move to the next principle.
Okay, so
Yes.
the next principle is, are you currently debt free? Are you taking any steps to reduce your debts? Are you able to reduce your debts? Are you currently debt free? Because there's some very interesting statistics that I would love to mention here. 4 out of 5 Zambians actually live on a month to month. They actually rely on their salaries. So you can imagine they are very financially strained. They don't have much to actually save. Then imagine over a quarter of them, the population that I've mentioned, actually don't actually have the ability to save every month. And then about 75% have some form of debt. So it comes back to the aspect of financial literacy. Once you understand the principle, no matter how much the money you have, whether you're getting paid a 500 kwacha or a 50,000 kwacha, because there are some people who have a salary of a 500 kwacha, but they're able to live as though they're being paid 50,000 kwacha. Somebody can have a salary of a 50,000 kwacha and lives as though he is not on an actual salary. So we're talking about the proof checks. Are you currently debt free? Because, you know, if you don't have debt, then you know that actually there's enough leverage for me to save.
Okay.
Yes. Now, I don't want to fault find in many people who have reasons why they're actually borrowing in the first place.
Even Zambia is borrowing, Mr.
Yes.
Asa.
yes.
So if the country can be in debt, I'm sure a number of us could actually be in debt. So I think this is a very important and valid point.
But this is actually coming back to the home economy, to an individual and their home, because these are the ones that actually feel the impact of the adverse conditions of our of our economy, you know. So once we understand these principles, then we will actually know how to be able to save, to invest, and also enjoy this financial freedom. A lot of us want financial freedom. I also believe you also want financial freedom as well, isn't it?
Yes.
Yes. How much do you spend, talking about your living expenses, over a period of 3 to 6 months? Because sometimes when you sit down with a client and then tell you that actually I want to invest this money here and there, when you make a thorough investigation, you discover that they actually don't have any disposable income available for them to actually indulge in these investments. Yes. And then talking about emergency funds that I mentioned the other time,
Yes.
should be able to have an emergency fund available just in case of any sudden life events. Yes. And then also, do you understand compound interests? Talking about these investments, like someone will tell you, okay, if you invest a 30,000, you're going to have 35,000 after 3 years. If you have a 1 kwacha, you have 150 kwacha. I mean 1 kwacha 50 ngwe after 2 weeks. You need to be able to understand those principles, and then also understanding the difference between investment and insurance. I think many of us mistake investment to insurance. Yes, I remember a time when I was dealing with a client. So when I was talking about a specific investment plan, they were thinking it was actually insurance, when it was actually investment.
An investment.
Yes.
Wow. So maybe one day would be privilege and grace for you to just explain to us the difference
Sure.
between, insurance and an investment.
Definitely not a problem.
Okay. So talking about the principles, we're really, wow. For me, my mind is just blown away because I'm really learning so much, and I hope our viewers are enjoying the discussion. Remember, you can leave your comments in the section below, your questions, as well as your contributions. If you have some recommendations, we'd love to hear from you, or you can just basically comment where you're watching us from. Remember to like the page, share the broadcast, as well as subscribe to our YouTube channel so that you don't miss out on any of this information. So you're watching Mnati TV on the go. Join us after this short break. Mnati.
Meaning something sweet.
Munati, your TV on the go.
Catch us anywhere, anytime, as long as you have a device and internet.
Mnati TV is Zambia's first internet TV station.
And internet is just not in Zambia, meaning Mnati TV cuts across all borders with viewers all the way from USA, Botswana, South Africa, the UK, and world over.
Internet is the future.
And the future is now.
Welcome to the future. Welcome to Mnati.
Your TV on the go. Welcome back to Talking Finance on your favorite TV station, Mnati TV on the go. Remember to like and subscribe to our channel to be able to get all of this exciting information. We are privileged to have Mr. Gabriel Asare. He's an investment and financial advisor, and he's just telling us what exactly financial literacy is all about. Now, remember, I think I kept on going back and forth with him because I was saying sometimes when you hear the word financial literacy, we tend to think it's something that we cannot work with as an ordinary Zambian, because maybe this is something that we can only associate to, the big the big shots per se, the Dangotes of this world, some of these big people in the country that we wouldn't really mention. So I would say, no, because I'm just a lay person, I'm an ordinary Zambian person, so when you talk about financial literacy, that doesn't affect me. But I think from the discussion that we've had, we've been told to say there's no age limit when it comes to financial literacy, because it should all start at a tender age. And when a child is taught this information when they're still young, they're taught how to save. Okay, it means that even as they get older, okay, they will be able to apply some of these principles that we have learned. And once you have a budget in place, there is no way that you're going to mismanage your money, mismanage your finances to take you back to a point where you're going to be broke. Now, we talked about a situation where a situation of debt. And I mentioned earlier to say a number of us could actually be in debt, and that is the reason why we would say, when we run into small monies, we cannot save enough money, or we cannot save this money because you are servicing your loans, and then you have all these other responsibilities, so you may not stay within the budget. Mr. Asa, what would you advise somebody that maybe has a loan that is ongoing, okay. And yet they have. And maybe after they service their loans, they only remain with, tiny bit of money, but they still have a family at home, that they have to feed, and, all of that's going on with them. So what would you advise somebody that has maybe lives, what do you call it, hand to mouth? It's called hand to mouth, eh? Yes, so hand to mouth basis. How would you advise them? How can they make their budget so that it sustains them?
Okay, so first of all, you need to cut your coat according to your size. I mean, don't live beyond your means. There are actually some homes where they have 1 meal a day just to be able to have enough money to save for another day. That's just like a simple principle of financial literacy. You have to sacrifice, you have to forego this, your current your current wants. So like, let's say I want an iPhone 12. Instead of me actually working so hard to get this iPhone 12, why don't I just think of a better idea on how best to make the money work for me? If you remember what we discussed previously. So talking about somebody who actually is in some form of debt, of course, no debt actually lasts forever unless if you want it to. So
okay.
Yes. I mean, it's really up to you, because you need to know why exactly you're spending the money. And I think we should also use more logic than actually using emotions when planning or letting the money work for you. So when you live within your means and then you're planning your way out of credit, there actually has to be a plan to get yourself out of credit. So definitely there will have to be less spending on unnecessary things. So it goes back to your budget. So you definitely have to look back at your budget to see things that you were spending on that were not necessary, especially right now. So if you want to get out of that credit, look at your current budget. Like, okay, what exactly am I getting wrong here? Is there anything that I've been spending on that isn't necessary? I'll give you an example. So if I was on a full bouquet for DSTV, that's about 1,000 kwacha. I'm not here to say you shouldn't watch DSTV. It's just an example. So let's say you're on a full bouquet and you're paying a 1,000 kwacha. Why not go on a compact, which is about 400 kwacha, save a 600. Already you have some 600 extra, even if you are paying this loan, of course. Another example would be maybe every after 2 weeks you want to buy clothes for your children. I mean, you can definitely look for other options. If you were so much of a person that would go to these big brands to get clothes, you can look for the next best option. Like you forego your current ones so that you'll be able to get your intended optimal results. Because at the end of the day, if you're financially literate, you should be able to make your money work for you, and that's what we're trying to do right now. So not to despair. If you're in credit, it's not like it's forever. There's definitely a way out of it. Yes. And then also your mindset also matters, because if you want to be a slave forever to debt, it will happen. But if you refuse to be a slave to debt, it will happen as well. So it's really about your mindset.
Great. Thank you so much for that information. So I guess the same principle in simpler terms works for everybody. It doesn't matter whether you make money every day or you have to wait for, the 30th of each month to get your salary. You need to have a budget. Every Zambian household from today onwards, as you're carrying TV station, we're advising you from our financial advisor, our financial expert, to say, please ensure that you always have a budget and stay within your budget. Of course, we know there are times when, like he mentioned earlier, you need to have money contingency funds, as we say it, okay? Money that will be used for emergencies that just come up. With the pandemic, you never know what hits the family. You may need, God forbid, of course, we'll have funerals, we'll have people that are getting sick and they have to be admitted in hospital. So what happens if you don't have that particular amount just to, ensure that it covers up for all of that? So please, from today onwards, we are advising everybody to say, let's be financially literate. It's not a very big word. It should not scare us because, we're not a big shot or whatever it is that is going on. But let us all have a budget and at least ensure that we stay within the budget. So our technical team, do we have any comments so far? Do we have our members that are following up? Maybe we can read a few comments and just maybe answer a few questions that our viewers may have so that our financial expert can be able to advise. Okay, so we have Mr. Marcus Mosier Gavi, and he's saying, ask Gabriel what type of investment opportunities are available in Lusaka and how can one access them and how affordable are they?
Okay, that's
opportunities in Lusaka, that's a very good comment. Thank you so much, Mr. Gavi. We appreciate that you're following and watching. I think you will be able to take that one up.
Okay, that's a very, very nice question. So, to answer that question, talking about investment opportunities, there are so many opportunities. First of all, you need to understand what type of opportunities you're trying to look out for, and then also the intended purpose behind you actually wanting to invest the money. Is it for a short term? Is it for a middle term or long term? And because many people actually invest for the long term, short term, middle term. So talking about opportunities, there are lots. Like in an investment sense, Lusaka, actually the population is growing so large, and real estate is actually one of them. And we have a lot of schools that are coming up. So if you are a person that has some funds available, or you have someone who can help with funds, you can actually invest in real estate, probably build some boarding houses. Yes. Also commercial, so real estate, talking about even commercial properties as well. Because of the pandemic, people are learning to live small. So companies actually are moving into smaller offices and things like that. Maybe if you are a person that's interested in the money markets, you can invest in bonds, treasury bills. There are also different insurance policies with insurance companies that are available out there in the money market, the financial market, of course, and there are many more. So I think we'll actually need a segment where we get more into this in further detail.
Definitely.
But real estate is actually the one, and also food. If you are in if you are into agriculture as well.
Yeah, because people are always eating, eh? People
Yes.
are always eating. So regardless of how the economy is biting, whether you eat once a day,
Yes.
people are always eating. So that's actually a viable business. So of course, provided you allow us, Mr. Asa, we definitely want you back here just to discuss what Mr. Gabi has brought about. I think people would love to know what exactly a short-term investment is, a long-term investment is. You know, when we talk about treasury bills, sometimes people feel, oh, I can't invest in that, I can't buy such, I don't know what that is. So probably we'll just love to unpack all of that information for our viewers, just so everybody can, you know, get a hold of what that is about.
Sure.
Okay.
Not a problem.
Do we have any other comments or... So remember, you too can leave your comment. I would love to hear from you. We are a listening TV station. I would love to interact with you every time. We have our financial advisor, financial investment expert, Mr. Gabriel Asa, joining us today. And for the next segments that we're going to have on Talking Finance. Okay, so Mr. Gabi is asking where someone can buy a cash flow board game in Lusaka.
Cash flow board game.
A cash flow, yes, cash flow board.
Okay, I'm not so sure on that one. I have to get back to him.
Okay, so
Yes.
Mr. Gabi will definitely get back to you on that particular comment. Otherwise, we really appreciate that you are following the show. Okay, so do we have any more comments? Okay. Great. Thank you so much. We appreciate. Please remember, you too can leave your comments in the section below. Tell us where you're following us from, and you know what other topics you'd like us to discuss. Of course, we'll still talk about investment opportunities with our financial advisor. And most importantly, I think even as we wrap up the show, of course, everything that goes up must come down. But we hope that we have learned so much. Would love to encourage you to tune in next time, because we're going to be talking about, you know, these online investment opportunities per se, these online companies. I think that's something that has been booming of late, and a number of people are actually investing, and you find that, you know, they end up losing their money. So I think we'll get all of that insight from Mr. Asa. Maybe you can just briefly just tell us a bit of some highlights on what it entails when we talk about online businesses. Of course, we talked about, you know, the capital markets, we talked about Lusaka Stock Exchange, of course, the treasury bills, all of that. But we know that there's people that are told, oh, when you invest online, you invest so much, you get a return of this much. And I think just a few days ago, we had a story of a number of our people actually that have lost their money due to such companies, you know, that are mushrooming every day. They actually have, you know, Parker certification, they have ZRA certification, but you find that people are losing their money. So, how, you know, how can you be alert? How can you know all of that will be, all of that information will be shared on Munati TV? So, Mr. Asa, maybe you can just briefly give us a heads up on what we expect next time, so that our listeners can be able to, our viewers rather, can be able to relate to, you know, this discussion that we're going to have.
Okay, thanks for that question. It's quite unfortunate that we still have such incidences going on in our country, and I hope that through this platform we'll be able to help our viewers and also the nation at large to be able to be more aware of these investment scams that are going on. So, first and foremost, we can't stop the inevitable. I mean, technology is what has taken over the platform. So, we have this new form of finance or investment structure we call fintech. It's a combination of finance and technology. That's where you find different type of business products that are being sold in the financial markets, where you download this app and then they'll tell you to invest in these different investment platforms, and you make so much out of it, able to monitor your investments and things like that. On the flip side, it's also unfortunate that we also have booby traps that have been set up by these scammers. Of course, someone can actually set up an investment plan for you, and then you actually think that you're actually making the money, but in real sense or in real time, you're actually not making the money. It's actually just there to provoke you or to entice you to actually stay glued and want to invest more. I'll give you this example. Let's say our gentleman at the back, who the one in charge of the camera, actually has this part closed and then has left a small leeway over there. So he throws a sweet at me on the other side. I'm like, oh, so I get a sweet and I haven't invested anything. So I'll be enticed. Like, okay, let me put a 5 kwacha and throw it on the other side. So I throw a kwacha on the other side, then he gives me 5 sweets. Wow. So I have 5 sweets after investing a 5 kwacha. Okay, so let me try putting 100 kwacha. Putting 100 kwacha, and then you find that the door actually, that same demarcation like closes, and from nowhere you get so depressed because you were actually being led on. There was this momentum that was being built all the way. You were being given a sweet because you didn't invest anything, and you were given 5 sweets. Even after investing 5 kwacha, now you put in 100 kwacha, and then now there is nothing available. So first of all, you need to understand the investment objectives of the company or whoever is running or are running these investment policies. What risk mitigation measures have they put in place for such an individual, an investor, probably a company? What have they put in place so that in case something happens, you'll be able to still have your money back? The other thing to look out for is also be able to know more about the company. Do they have a physical address? Because there are some companies that can be registered with PACRA, but they don't have actually a physical address. Like, do they have an office where you can actually go to and express your grievances if you're not satisfied with any of the investment plans that they've given you? Do you know who their CEO is? Where is he from? What experience does he have to give the company? Because the CEO is the visionary of the company. The board of directors, how much money are they managing? Because if you hear of a company that's managing 35,000 kwacha, and then they're telling you to invest 1 million kwacha, and then you make a 3 million kwacha after a year,
Red flags.
those are red flags that you're supposed to look out for. I mean, apart from that, the number of years of experience they have been in the financial market. Look out for the reviews out there in the internet, because you'll be so surprised. We do have a lot of things in our fingertips at our disposal, but we don't make good use of them. Like I, for one, since I deal with a lot of foreign companies, so you discover that because they are foreign, you don't have much information about them because you're a local. So you look out for reviews. Like, what are people saying out there, outside Zambia, about these investment companies? Like, what exactly have people benefited from them? What exactly have they gained? What have they lost? So when you get an independent opinion from somebody, and then like you get a thorough opinion from a number of people, you'll be able to know that, okay, this isn't so good, this is really good for me to invest in. And then also, come on, like someone tells you to say you invested 35,000, you make a 70,000 in 2 months. Even with the Bank of Zambia, that's not even possible, because with our treasury bills, you don't even make so much. I mean, now, where exactly are they investing this money for you to actually get this extra 35,000 after 2 months? So it comes back to understanding financial literacy, the principles, of course. Apart from that, also being able to think outside the box, because even if you understand these principles, I mean, you'll be tested with so many things out there. So you should be able to know, okay, after understanding what financial literacy is, so somebody comes to me and tells me there's this opportunity that's here. And one of the principles being able to understand compound interest investments. So if this person tells me, like, after 5 months, I'm going to make a 50,000 after investing a 10,000, how is the interest adding up to that 50,000? Where is the money coming from to be added to that 50,000? How are they going to keep on with the consistency for the next 5 years? You know, so there are a lot of questions that you have to ask yourself. And then, I mean, you have to trust your gut feeling after you've made this thorough review of everything. And then whatever decision you make at the end of the day, you're the one who's made it. Nobody made it for you.
Exactly.
So shouldn't be able to make decisions out of emotions, but should be out of logic and also basic understanding of financial literacy.
Thank you so much. So you really unpacked a lot. I really wanted us to just give them a sneak peek so that they look forward to the next segment where we're really going to explain what this entails. So you'd be surprised to know, Mr. Asa, that some of these companies, I think how they woo people is that they'll tell you you'll get, like you mentioned, you invest a 5,000 kwacha, and then you get a 35 in maybe 30 days. And you know that the first people that are going to invest will actually get those monies that they were promised. And so this is why I think a lot of people get swayed away or carried away, and then everybody just starts investing in these businesses or these artists that are out there to, just creep our people that are actually working hard for this money, and then you just lose it like that. So please note that definitely next week we will get into the basics of how you can tell which companies are real, how you can get that information to ensure that you're not scammed, nobody steals from you, from your hard-earned money. And sometimes people actually get loans, Mr. Asa, to invest in such business ventures, and then you remain paying back a loan after you've lost so much money from this company that closes and it just goes away. So you may, as we during the week, you can send us your questions via inbox, you can send us your WhatsApp messages, just so that we can be able to tackle all of that information. If you were a victim and you'd like to share your story or your experience, you can always feel free to engage us. We'll have our financial and investment advisor, Mr. Asa, joining us just to give us some highlights. So as we conclude, Mr. Asa, what is the end goal for financial literacy? What should our viewers actually, work towards to ensure that, please, let's not be scared of the word. I keep emphasizing because I want all of us. Thank you. I think that's what we had agreed on, yes? Yes. So financial education. So what does this entail? What is our end goal? How can we work around it to ensure that at the end of the day we're able to manage our finances very well?
So the end goal of financial literacy is being able to understand the principles of financial literacy, and then also the financial matters that I mentioned earlier on. That's knowing how to budget, knowing how to save, knowing how to invest, and all these things. And at the end of the day, when you have been able to grasp all this information, it shouldn't just be information in your hands. It should be something that should be able to turn into gold, be able to yield results, because at the end of the day what we want is you being able to make money work for you, because your money matters.
Thank you so much for that information. As we come to the close of our program, remember, do you have a Facebook handle that people can contact you on, or how can they get more information if after this broadcast Mr. Gavi would like to get a hold of you just to get more information? I think like he sent us a question in the comment section.
Okay, so on Facebook it's Gabriel Kwesi Asare, and then I'm also more active on LinkedIn as well. So it's also Gabriel Kwesi Asare, and I actually enjoy talking to people on phone, so I can also share my phone number as well, which is 0977 732974. It's also on WhatsApp. So feel free to ask any questions that you have in mind that you were not able to ask during this show.
Thank you very much. So please remember to follow his Facebook page, get his contact details if you'd like to, get more information on how you can be financially literate, okay, or get more information on some education on how to manage your finances. Otherwise, remember to follow Munati Television, like our Facebook page, subscribe to our YouTube channel. We bring you so much content as we go during the week, just to ensure that everybody is up to date. We are your TV on the go for all your current affairs. Otherwise, we really appreciate you coming through to the studios. We are very happy to have you here, and I'm sure we look forward to next week, because a number of people people have actually been complaining that they've lost their monies. So how can they know they've been scammed? How can they know about these companies? All of those facts that we're really excited to learn about in the next segment. So from my end, thank you so much to everybody that tuned in, that joined in. We appreciate. Remember to follow Munati Television and just interact with us. We're really happy to hear from you. Signing out from Nati TV, Mr. Gabriel also sign out from his end. Munati.
Meaning something sweet.
Munati, your TV on the go.
Catch us anywhere, anytime, as long as you have a device and internet.
Munati TV is Zambia's first internet TV station.
And internet is just not in Zambia, meaning Munati TV cuts across all borders with viewers all the way from USA, Botswana, South Africa, the UK, and world over.
Internet is the future.
And the future is now.
Welcome to the future. Welcome to Munati.
Your TV on the go.